I'm going to be reading from Slacker by Gordon Corman, Chapter 30, Jennifer Del Rio. Give the middle school kids credit. They almost pulled it off. We didn't know until last night what they were planning to do at the freeway ramp. Joel Osterman's 7th grade sister accidentally ate a peanut, and Benadryl is like truth serum for her. She blabbed the whole thing. I had to admit it. It was an amazing idea. Better than anything I could have come up with. It would have lifted the positive action group out of the toilet and made them legends in this town. So, of course, I had to steal it. It'd be easy for us. We had one huge advantage over the little kids. We could drive. All I had to do was sound the alert. A group text here, a tweet there, a posting or two on the Friends of Fuzzy Facebook page. Cam Boxer would never know what hit him. And now a bonus. Not only were we going to save the freeway ramp, we were going to save the beaver too. I don't get it, Jen, Tony panted, running behind me through the trees. I thought we were stopping bulldozers. Oh, that's still on, I tossed over my shoulder. But first we're going to rescue that beaver. He can't be hard to catch after you have winged him with the car. Tony sounded rueful. I didn't mean for that to happen. What if he's really hurt? Not our problem. He's going in his habitat, dead or alive. I could hear the middle schoolers crashing through the underbrush behind us. I recognized Boxer and that crazy girl from the Y pool, but not the other two. They looked younger, 6th graders maybe? That was the only thing that could sink us. The chance that one of them might get to the rodent before we did. There were 4 of them and only 2 of us. Not missing a step, I whipped out my phone and dialed Sarah Schuschelberg, first assistant grand pal of the Friends of Fuzzy. We're just passing through downtown, Sarah reported. Jen, have you seen all these kids? It looks like the whole middle school is going to show up. Never mind that, I puffed. We just had a beaver sighting. Sarah was all business. Location? Ravine Park. I think we're behind Taco Hut right now, but you can't depend on that because we're moving pretty fast and we've got company. The Boxer kid for one, and that nut job from the pool. I'll spread the word, she promised. The crazy girl was screaming down the forest. Elvis! She had a loud voice that was like a cheese grater against my brain. Elvis, come back! Will you shut up? I barked back at her. If he hears you, he won't come back. He'll run a mile. A streak of brown fur flashed through the underbrush before me. But before I could react, the 2 younger girls dashed past me. Who knew 6th graders could be so fast? Tony! I snapped. I'm on it! He took 3 giant strides, tripped on a root, and landed flat on his face. Those clunky black boots looked cool with his leather jacket, but maybe they weren't so great for a beaver hunt. Our quarry scrambled through some tall grass, and he took cover among the thick leaves of a fallen tree limb. I caught up with the girls, squeezed my bigger body between them, and kicked away the branch. Behind it cowered a terrified woodchuck. False alarm. There he goes, called Cam behind me, which started the crazy one screeching again. I hauled Tony to his feet and started after Cam. He tried to hold me back. Come on, Jen. You're a presidential scholar, head cheerleader, in more clubs than anybody in the history of Sycamore. This time next year, you're going to be at Harvard. Do you really have to go to war over a beaver? I pulled free of him. I'm not at Harvard yet, I exploded. We need that rodent. And at that moment, Sarah came crashing through the woods, followed by a pack of high schoolers. The cavalry. I dressed for a freeway ramp, not a forest, Sarah complained, zipping her cashmere hoodie up to her neck. Follow me, I ordered, leading the charge after the little kids. It was easy enough to follow them. The nut job was wailing like a police siren. Who was she, Elvis's mother? Sarah did a good job spreading the word. Pretty soon the Friends of Fuzzy were all over the place. We needed as many searchers as we could get since a beaver was low and built for hiding in the underbrush. I was reaching to pull my right sneaker out of a patch of mud when I bumped heads with a kid who was easily 5 years younger than me. A middle schooler, definitely, but not one of the original 4. How'd you get here? I rasped. I just followed everybody else, he replied. Don't you know Elvis is in the woods somewhere? And that was when I looked closely at the many faces peering behind trees and into underbrush. Yeah, the woods were teemed with kids searching for the beaver, but at least half of them were from the middle school. It was like the YMCA all over again, Friends of Fuzzy versus PAG, except this time, there was no way to blame the whole thing on them and walk away heroes. Today, the only victor would be whoever emerged from these woods carrying the beaver. It wasn't a battle, exactly, but when you had hundreds of people stumbling around a maze of trees and vegetation, things were bound to get ugly. Every squirrel and jackrabbit caused a stampede. Kids from both schools went down, sliding in mud, tripped up by vines, and knocked silly by low branches. Some tumbled over an embankment into a creek, leaving them soaked and shivering, their phones ruined. Sarah wound up at the bottom of a hole and had to be hauled out by the wrestling team. Robbie Michaels got his jeans caught on a branch and ripped his pants clean off. One of the middle schoolers climbed a tree for a better view and couldn't get himself down. That drew a whole crowd shouting instructions. I was so distracted by those idiots that I almost missed it. A high-pitched whining sound, almost like a crying baby. What would a baby be doing in the middle of the woods? I took a tentative step in the direction of the noise, and there he was, huddled in a thicket of juniper. It was definitely him, a big rodent head, brown fur, broad, flat tail. The beaver. I approached in slow motion, savoring the moment. Visions of Harvard Yard dancing in my head. Squatting low, I reached out to grab the little animal from behind. Elvis! Just as my hands closed on the furry hind legs, the nut job came careening into the thicket, grabbing the beaver from the front. For an instant, we froze in pure shock, and then the two of us hauled him clear out of the bushes and stood toe-to-toe, staring belligerently at each other. "He's mine!" I growled over the crying baby sound. "He needs to see a vet," she exclaimed urgently. "He got hit by a car." "I know that," I retorted. "I was in the car that hit him." "He's injured. He's barely resisting us." "The Friends of Fuzzy rescued this beaver," I said through clenched teeth. "Once we get credit for it, he's all yours and good riddance. Now let go." I yanked hard. The beaver squealed, but the crazy girl held on. I felt a warm trickle on my hands. "He peed on me." No one peed on Jennifer Del Rio. I had a list in my mind of all the things I would never tolerate, and that was right near the top. "Tony!" I howled. The crazy girl started screaming, "Cam!" Well, that did it. The ground shook as every kid in the woods converged on the sound of our yelling and the beaver's cries. Even the guy who got stuck in the tree got himself down somehow to see what was going on. Tony pushed his way through the crowd to stand beside me. The boxer kid took his place next to the crazy girl. "Tony!" I raged, barely able to speak. "This is my beaver. I'm the one he peed on, and he's mine." Tears were streaming down the nutjob's face. "You can have him," she quavered. "Just don't pull him anymore. You're hurting him, and he's scared, and you have to promise that you'll take him to the vet. I'll let go when you promise." "I'm not promising anything," I spat. "I'm taking him straight to Audra Klinkner's house so that everybody knows the Friends of Fuzzy are heroes." And then Tony, my boyfriend, who was supposed to support me, said a single word. "No." "No? What do you mean, no?" I'd never heard his voice so gentle or so insistent. "Give her the beaver, Jen." "But," I sputtered, "Harvard." "If Harvard needs this beaver so much, maybe you should pick another school," Tony said quietly. And there we were, the crazy girl and me, surrounded by practically every kid in Sycamore, locked in the ultimate standoff, and suddenly the nut job let go and placed Elvis into my arms. She even took off her jacket and wrapped him up for me. I had absolutely no idea what to do or say. She loved him that much that she was willing to lose in front of everybody she knew just to keep him safe. It was the most surprising thing I'd ever seen. Maybe next year at Harvard, one of the professors would be able to explain it all to me. A few of the kids from both schools started clapping. Over that sound swelled another, louder noise. It was the grinding roar of heavy machinery. And Cam was the first to recognize it and shouted, "The bulldozers!"